The air in the dining room felt thick, as if the weight of unspoken words had settled into the walls. I stood by the table, my hands trembling slightly as I adjusted the bouquet of roses. Her favorite, deep crimson, like the passion I thought we still shared. Tonight was our 10th anniversary, and I'd spent weeks planning a surprise to rekindle the spark that had dimmed in Sarah's eyes over the past year. But as she walked through the door, her face pale and her lips pressed into a tight line, I knew something was wrong. "I have a surprise for you," I said, my voice catching with nervous excitement. She didn't smile. Instead, she looked at me with eyes that held a storm I hadn't seen coming. "The real surprise," she said, her voice cold as winter, "is that I want a divorce." My heart stopped, the words slicing through me like a blade. The roses, the candlelit dinner, the velvet box with the necklace I'd saved months to buy, they all felt like cruel jokes now. I stood frozen, the room spinning as I tried to process her words. "What?" I managed, my voice barely a whisper. Sarah's gaze dropped to the floor, her fingers twisting the hem of her sweater. "I can't do this anymore, Mark," she said. "I haven't been happy for a long time." The dining room, once warm with the glow of candles, felt like a tomb. I sank into a chair, my legs unsteady. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, my voice cracking under the weight of confusion and hurt. "We could have worked on it. We could have tried." She shook her head, her silence louder than any explanation. The room was heavy with the scent of roses and the dinner I'd spent hours preparing. Her favorite pasta, homemade, the way she liked it. Now it sat untouched, growing cold, just like the love I thought we had. Over the next few days, I replayed her words in my mind, each syllable a fresh wound. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. The house, once filled with laughter and shared dreams, now echoed with emptiness. Sarah had moved to the guest room, her presence a ghost in our home. I wanted answers, but every time I tried to talk, she shut me out, her responses clipped and evasive. "I just need space," she'd say, avoiding my eyes. But I couldn't let it go. The not knowing gnawed at me, a relentless ache that grew with every unanswered question. One evening, desperate for clarity, I did something I'd never thought I'd do. I checked her phone. It was sitting on the kitchen counter, forgotten in her rush to leave for a walk. My hands shook as I unlocked it, guilt warring with desperation. The messages I found shattered what little hope I had left. They weren't from a friend or a coworker. They were from someone named Ethan, a name I didn't recognize. The texts were intimate, filled with words like, "Miss you," and "Can't wait to see you." One message, dated a week ago, read, "I'm ready to leave him. Just give me time." My chest tightened, the air sucked out of the room. I scrolled further, each message a dagger. They'd been meeting for months, secret dinners, late-night calls, moments stolen from the life we'd built together. I felt like a fool, blindsided by the depth of her betrayal. The woman I'd loved for a decade, the one I'd vowed to grow old with, had been living a lie. I set the phone down, my hands numb, and sat in the dark, the weight of her infidelity crushing me. When Sarah came home, I was waiting in the living room, the phone still in my hand. She froze in the doorway, her eyes darting to the device, then to my face. "Mark," she started, but I cut her off. "Who's Ethan?" I asked, my voice low, trembling with barely contained rage. Her face crumpled, and for the first time, I saw guilt in her eyes. "It's not what you think," she said, but the words sounded hollow, rehearsed. "Not what I think." I snapped, standing up. "You've been sneaking around for months, Sarah. Months. While I was planning our anniversary, you were planning to leave me for him." Tears welled in her eyes, but I couldn't feel sympathy, not yet. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she said, her voice breaking. "I was lonely, Mark. You were always working, always distracted. Ethan, he listened to me." Her words stung, each one a reminder of the late nights I'd spent at the office, trying to secure a future for us. "So this is my fault?" I asked, my voice rising. "I was working for us, Sarah. For our family. And you repaid me by running to someone else." The argument stretched into the night, a storm of accusations and confessions. She admitted she'd met Ethan at a work conference 6 months ago. What started as coffee turned into something more, something she couldn't, or wouldn't, stop. "I didn't want to hurt you," she said, sobbing now. I fell out of love with you, Mark. Those words hit harder than the betrayal itself. I'd sensed her distance, but I'd chalked it up to stress, to life. I'd never imagined she'd stopped loving me. The days that followed were a blur of pain and silence. Sarah moved out, leaving behind a house full of memories that now felt tainted. I found myself staring at old photos, wondering when the cracks had started to form. Had I missed the signs? Had I been too focused on work, on routine, to notice her slipping away? The questions haunted me, but so did the anger. She'd chosen to betray me instead of talking, instead of fighting for us. One evening, I found a letter tucked inside a book she'd left behind. It was from Ethan, written months ago, promising her a life free from the shackles of our marriage. The words burned, but they also brought a strange clarity. Sarah hadn't just fallen out of love. She'd chosen to rewrite our story, to cast me as the villain in her escape. I tore the letter to pieces, my hands shaking with a mix of rage and grief. I started seeing a therapist, someone to help me untangle the mess of emotions. Trust, she said, would be the hardest thing to rebuild. Not just in others, but in myself. I doubted every decision I'd made, every moment I'd thought we were happy. The betrayal had fractured my sense of reality, leaving me questioning what was real and what was a lie. Months later, I ran into Sarah at a coffee shop. She looked different, lighter, maybe, but her eyes carried a shadow of regret. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice soft. "I didn't know how to tell you I was unhappy. I handled it all wrong." I nodded, unsure if I could forgive her, but the anger had dulled into a quiet ache. "I hope you find what you're looking for," I said, meaning it, even if it hurt. As I walked away, I felt a small release, like a knot loosening in my chest. The anniversary surprise I'd planned was meant to be a new beginning, a way to remind Sarah of the love we'd built. Instead, it became the end of a chapter one hadn't seen coming. The pain of her betrayal lingered, but so did the lessons it taught me. I learned to listen to the silences, to question the distance, to fight for love before it slipped away. And as I rebuilt my life, piece by piece, I found something I hadn't expected: strength. Not the kind that comes from anger, but the kind that grows from surviving a broken heart and choosing to move forward, even when the path is uncertain. The roses from that night had long since wilted, but I kept one, pressed between the pages of a journal. It was a reminder, not of her betrayal, but of my own resilience. I wasn't whole yet, but I was healing, learning to trust again, one careful step at a time.